Screen Time salutations to all you internet dwellers out there, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined with the boys, as always. Keelan, what is going on, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I was about to say I'm doing good on this Wednesday, but it's not Wednesday, right? It's Sunday.
It's one of them. It's all good. Yeah.
Scribble, scrabble, jimble, jamble. I'm feeling well, feeling fine, and I can't tell you what day it is on this side. Back to you, Jim. No,
Fair enough. And we got Mike. What is going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just hanging in there. It's a good
Wonderful.
Sunday.
That's
How
good.
you doing?
Good. Yeah, can't complain. Chill day. Nice, way to round out the weekend. And yeah, looking forward to talking about this movie. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. Feel free to hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. We're really trying to build our audience out, and it would help us out a lot. So thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate all of you out there. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, it is the, I had the year up a second ago, and it's not here. 2009.
Oh, 2009.
There we go. The 2009 film The Men Who Stare at Goats. It was directed by Grant Heslov, and it's produced by George Clooney, Grant Heslov, and Paul Lister. It was written by Peter Strahan, probably. And yeah, this one's an old one that I've been wanting to sort of bring up for a while. I've seen it before. I think Keelan's probably the only one who hasn't seen it, right?
I've seen clips of it, so I'll say that. I don't think I've ever watched this movie full through, though, for sure.
It's one of the movies I have in my collection.
Cool. Yeah, so it's a movie that we're mostly familiar with, so I thought it would just be a chill episode this evening to wind down the week and talk about this film. What's most notable about this film that I saw when I was looking it up was the Rotten Tomatoes score. Boy, oh boy, I feel like I am I have the wrong take here, apparently. It's at a 39% for the audience score.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the critics?
Critic score is a 51%. And it's certified rotten.
Somebody didn't pay their Rotten Tomatoes fees.
Maybe not. They didn't pay the ransom. Yeah. I find that a little bit surprising because I quite enjoy this movie. But before we get into first impressions, I'll give you guys a short synopsis, and then we can jump right into first impressions and kind of take it from there. So the synopsis is: a struggling reporter, Bob Wilton, played by Ewan McGregor, gets the scoop of a lifetime when he meets Lynn Cassidy, who's George Clooney, who claims to be from a unit of psychic soldiers who have been reactivated for duty. Intrigued by Cassidy's assertions that they can walk through walls and kill goats by fixed gazes, Wilton follows him on a dangerous top secret mission across Iraq to find the brigade's founder, Bill Django, who's played by Jeff Bridges. And yeah, so what ensues is just kind of like a reporter who goes to war to kind of prove himself as a human being and as a man and as a reporter, finds himself ensnared with a sort of quasi-legitimate black ops project in the form of the New Earth. Was it the New Earth Alliance?
Battalion?
The New Earth Battalion? Yeah.
The New Earth, Army.
Right. Where he meets George Clooney's character, who is like the top operative of this new age sort of army that was clandestinely trying to create psychic soldiers. But before I get too far into it, let's get first impressions. And since Keelan hasn't seen it, let's get his first impression first.
This movie, to me, says whoever wrote this definitely was enamored with the entire Hitler, MK Ultra, all of those kind of stories back then. From that aspect, for I guess you could call that sci-fi, drama, all of that incorporated, keeping you interested, a little bit confused, but at the same time wanting more. From that aspect, this movie does a great job. Cast is great. I think the purpose is fulfilled. I can't think of any plot holes up front, but we'll get through that as we go forward. Um, yeah, I liked it. I liked it for sure. I also understand why. I know a few people. I can probably name 5 people off the top of my head. I know for a fact this is in their top 10, and I understand.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike, you've seen this before, but let's get your feelings on the flick.
Well, like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to buy it, and this time around, instead of just watching it, I watched it with some commentary, like not the director's commentary, but so like this was originally a book, and the guy that wrote the book did some commentary for it, and kind of described where the book and the movie take different roads. But I mean, it's a fun movie on its own, and especially if you sort of like the excuse me was saying like the sort of occultish or the MK Ultra, this testing that happens within militaries and I guess governments. It's really fun, but it doesn't go too dark. It keeps things like light and kind of funny, where the reality of the situation probably wasn't as funny, depending on who you were.
Right.
But all in all, it's a good movie to watch. It's fun and enjoyable.
Sweet.
Even the torture experience.
Well, yeah, that could have. I mean, that was definitely a introduction into the darker side of all of that for sure.
Right.
We even get Lynn's character calling it the dark side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this movie many times before. This is one of the movies that I'll watch, pretty regularly, just to watch something that I like and have fun with. I really like that they took a lot of the sort of declassified military investigations into the occult and into psychic espionage and all of that stuff. I think they did that really well without it being too, I guess, deep. They found a way to kind of distill it into a sort of palatable narrative that even people can be like, oh, wow, this was actually a thing. And yes, it was a thing. It started off in the 50s, which is much later than what the movie claims. But yeah, they were definitely training people to be psychic remote viewers, psychic soldiers, all of that stuff. So the subject matter really intrigues me. I like Ewan McGregor, and George Clooney is pretty good in this as well. And the length of the movie is short enough to not be too like cost consuming or time consuming. So
I want to add, or I want to say, I think it's interesting that my initial impression of George Clooney in this movie is this is probably one of his lowest ranking performances for me. Not saying that he did bad, but just running through maybe 3, if I could think of 3 off the top of my head, performances, even including TV. So let's use ER as well.
Yeah.
This would be below the 3 in my head, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know if anybody could bring more to the character, to be honest, just because the story is kind of shallow. There isn't like a whole lot of deep character stuff going on. I mean, some of Lynn's storyline is pretty interesting, but yeah, I mean, I could see where George Clooney's does feel a little bit like he's phoning it in. But I mean, he still made me laugh a lot. I mean,
hands down,
I still love Sparkle Eyes and cloud bursting and the stupid hand tool that he uses. Yeah,
hey, that thing still exists. There's military units that use
actually
them.
does.
Yeah. I
So
know.
Apparently
the
it works.
chakra centers.
I mean, it's
it works.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. The certain little things that, like, if like you would just overlook them as being a part of a Hollywood story, but like the movie says at the beginning, more of this is real than you would believe. So,
and that was cool to see, like even the writer just kind of point out like what stuff actually happened versus what things were kind of fictionalized and kind of made more for service of the film. But a lot of it was actually real, and the guys behind it, the guys that wrote the pamphlet, they were pragmatists. So like they're like, yeah, if this whole new age Earth thing doesn't work, you can always just shoot them,
Right.
because what it came from a need to try to figure out why, what was it, like that whole thing in Vietnam where Jeff Bridges like falls out of the helicopter, and like he's trying to figure out why people aren't shooting, or like why they're aiming high at the person. So it was born out of necessity from like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas but to try to use inherent American kindness and cunning as a weapon.
Right. Right. Well, and they also say in the movie, which is one of my favorite little tiny scenes, it's where the brigadier general's talking to another general, and he's like, the Russians have caught on to our sci project about contacting a submarine under Antarctica. And he's like, what? And there's like, there was no contact. It was actually a hoax. But now the Russians think that we're on a sci project, which means that we need to start a sci project to get ahead of them. And actually, there's a lot of truth to that. So like the whole Cold War sci project thing was a lot of rumor that sort of sparked paranoia on both sides to encourage them into like a psychic research sort of
arms
campaign.
race.
Yeah.
What's great is
race to the moon and everything.
All right. They were saying that the original thing was built off of bad intel, that the Russians were way ahead in the paranormal department.
Right.
So the US started to research it and started to dump money. And then the Russians found out that the US was actually researching the stuff. So they started it, and thus made like this whole, made this feedback system to where they both had to research it, even if it didn't bear any fruit.
Right. Right. Which, I mean, they did. They ended up spending more than 30 years, I think, researching it. And who knows, they might still be researching some aspects of it right now. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I think more than might.
Yeah, you see that with like music torture. You see that with just all of that
messaging in general.
All the dark side traits of the Project Jedi has become a thing.
Speaking of the dark side traits of Project Jedi, you can't tell me that Barney song ain't. You know what I'm talking about?
Evil. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
There might just be something to that.
Bro, with a strobe light and maybe some acid in your system. Yeah.
That would drive me a little nuts.
Yeah.
I used to drive my mom insane just singing it in the car over and over and over as a kid.
So many kids did. Yeah.
Sounds creepy. Listen, a lot of nursery songs, if you listen to them at slower and or faster BPMs, depending on the song, most of them sound absolutely crazy and creepy.
It's because they come from Victorian era Europe, where everything was a cautionary tale to keep children in line.
Right.
It's like, don't do that, or the boogeyman will steal your soul away in the middle of the night.
Yeah, a lot of them are absolutely scary stories. It's funny. I heard a rendition recently. I listened to a rendition of the Snow White story that equivalates. It basically ends in finding out that Prince Charming became familiar with Snow White before Snow White was aware of Prince Charming's existence. I'll say it that way. And then, of course, once she wakes up, everything is fine and they get married and live happily ever after.
Well, he does tend to come out of nowhere in that movie, so like he was watching the whole time.
You find out creeping behind some bushes. Just see little.
Oh, and in that rendition of the story, it's not that she's in the forest; she's on display, in fact. And then he purchases her, believing she's a corpse.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll just stop with that story there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people who stare at ghosts and their craziness.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we don't really need to go beat by beat with this movie just because it's kind of a chill conversation. But is there anything that stood out to you guys that you wanted to talk about?
I personally liked the reality of the succession and the line of command. Bill only had one successor in reality. And when that fell through, the only thing that could happen is for these tools be they real or not, to be explored into private game. You know.
Yeah, like Kevin Spacey's character making them into weapons.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did like that sort of dynamic too, right? It's like the good son and the bad son. You have like the Thor and the Loki sort of thing, where it's like Lynn Cassidy becomes the sort of like good end of the force, where Kevin Spacey becomes the dark side.
You gotta use the.
I think too, like using kind of like poking fun at MK Ultra and all the horror. Like at one point too, just all the horror that was going on around that time, like right after September 11th. I mean, at one point in this movie, an IED is used as a joke. Is used as the punchline, for the whole intuition thing, and it's funny. It works really well.
It does.
But,
and then you have the whole Blackwater, right, with the contractors, and that guy's a whole joke too.
Right. I am curious really quick as to whether Mahmoud planted the IED in the car or if it was a IED landmine.
No, it was a landmine.
I believe it was a landmine.
Yeah. It's the whole joke of him not knowing which direction to go, and then when he finally makes the decision, he blows up. I love that little scene too. It's like they're sitting there for like 30 minutes and Ewan McGregor's like, what the hell are we doing? And he's like, it's intuition, man. You know, when you have that snap judgment of like left or right and you go right. It's like, we've been sitting here for 30 minutes.
Or if you would just be quiet.
I got it. Oh, now you know. Now you know.
Yeah. But it ended up being the right direction anyways, which I like about this movie is that like they do poke fun at like the woo-woo of it, but it also ends up being correct. Like apparently Bill did astral project to Lynn and call for him, and Lynn knew exactly where to find him.
Yeah.
So,
and even what's his name? Larry Hooper. Even Larry being apart for all these years now, still doubtful. Like, how did you find us?
Right.
I remote viewed you.
Right.
Nah. I know who told you. He told you, huh? Yeah, I know why you here too. Nah, it's not, but
yeah, that's because he was shit at it, right? He was, I see.
Right. I'm not Larry Street's guide. Now I can say this was probably one of Kevin Spacey's better roles, even though small role. He did very well in this one.
Yeah,
he sold that shit.
So funny.
He does good at being kind of like the head of like the dark side of things.
Yeah, he's always good at being the asshole character that that somehow is still comic relief, serious, and a major part of the storyline.
Yeah, it just goes up to Nick Offerman at his wedding. He's like, "Sorry, it doesn't work out."
Bruh. If I was Scotty,
so fucked up.
Boy, couldn't hold me back. Ain't no more peace in this joint, Bill.
Yeah.
Your last name Django, don't you know? Never mind. We're not gonna have this conversation.
The humor is really subtle in this movie, but I really enjoy it.
It's fun. And because most of these characters are kind of tied to real people, except for that Kevin Spacey character, who's like far more fictitious, but loosely based off of the guy that ran MK Ultra.
Oh, okay.
He also pretty much spent most of his time, trying to like poison what's his name in Cuba by putting poison in his cigars.
Castro.
Castro, so he was the guy within the agency to go around, and
he was doing all the experimental shady
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was he?
Somebody's got to do it, right?
I know what this sounds like, but I must ask because of where the men who stare at goats concept comes from. The guy who was going around doing all the crazy stuff, was he German?
No. Well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, his last name was Gottlieb, but I don't know if that's German or not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it?
Gottlieb. Yeah. There's another subtle scene in this too. It's when the brigadier general, the guy who doesn't run through the wall, he's kind of like the bankroller of the whole operation because he's like really into it. But they're talking about like how he first got into it, and he's reading this book, and it talks about how they use the goats for like field surgery, and they tried to do it with dogs. Or no, it was they were trying to see if cats could feel pain, and you see the cat like getting prodded, and his face is like those monsters.
Yeah.
For some
Playing with the
reason, it's
cat.
just so funny. It's like, oh, that was the moment he was like, oh, we gotta get these Rooskies.
They're
Americans, you can't cannot harm our cats.
Right.
We will come for you.
animals. Yeah, so the Brigadier General is Stephen Lang. He also plays the bad guy in
American Beauty. He's
in
the neighbor.
Avatar too.
And Avatar.
Yeah, and Avatar, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a military personnel specifically.
I remember, yeah.
And when I was watching, I'm like, is that it is him? Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
But he has that like military face, so it kind of works. It makes sense.
Yeah. Perfect.
And that whole the goat lab, like that was real, or that still is real.
I believe it.
But they initially did try to do it on dogs. It was supposed to be dog lab, but people made emotional connections with the dog.
Yeah.
They had to get a psychologist in to figure out what animal humans would have the least would have the least connection with. They found out it was goats.
I wonder
because
why
of their
goats.
rectangular eyes.
I
guarantee.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Because they can climb full mountainsides and shit.
Yeah.
Just don't understand them at all.
How do you defy gravity, little goat?
The things they do to these poor goats, just like staring at them to death.
Mm-hmm.
Like chuck grenades into rooms, shoot them, just so that they
Right.
can teach them how to heal them and tape them up.
Drop atom
What?
bombs on them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was another thing.
Right.
Hey, you know that goat survived that, right? Like a roach.
At least one of them will at one point, and then we'll have a real problem on our hands.
Yeah, that'd be you're right. That will be the real problem.
Super goats.
Super goats. Yeah.
I
I do kind of worry about that though, like the staring at something until it dies. I kind of feel like that was an actual experiment they tried.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be something. They'd be like, yeah, you sit in this room and stare at this goat. See if you can kill it with your thoughts.
I think somehow, I don't know why, but something clicked at one point in the movie with the staring portion. It made me think about the sonic cannons. And I think it might be somewhat of a hint towards the sonic cannons, because I don't think that a sonic cannon immediately fries you. I think it will take some time.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, with not just the sonic cannon, but the person who is running the sonic cannon would definitely have to watch like the whole time you're waiting for this thing to die or whatever is going to happen to it.
Right. Well, it's cool too, because this movie ties definitely into
Microwave cannon. Sorry.
what we do. Yeah, microwaves. Yes. It ties definitely into what we talk about in Exofathom and the Project Gateway experience, which would suggest that your intentions can sort of shape reality and your perceptions can shape reality. So there is a little bit of that correlation to this concept of like a holographic universe in which you are the creator of reality. And then tying that to, okay, if that principle is true, how do you weaponize that? How do you become a weapon that molds reality? Well, I guess you could focus your intention on killing something and see how long it takes to kill it.
See how long it takes for us to become Franklin Richards.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think to even if you can't kill it by just staring at it, just to be able to have that sort of psychic attack on somebody, to get in their head by just staring at them, by keeping focus for that long.
Right.
That's a great skill in itself to have.
Yeah. If I could issue a suggestion or even just read your current thought, that would be insane.
Oh yeah, you could even just hook the animal up to a heartbeat monitor and see if you can actually affect their heartbeat. That would be another subtle sign that you might actually be affecting the animal.
Well, yeah, I would think because some animals don't are intimidated by eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
Some animals are intimidated simply by size. So I think that could be measured, but I'm not sure if it would be as accurate as we would like it to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking about murdering something with our thoughts, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because
we'll see if there's any definitive data on that.
I remember thinking to myself when the goat falls over, like, what if the goat just had a heart attack in that second, like in that moment?
Well, and I
Yeah.
like that this movie does play on that ambiguity. Like there is a lot of ambiguity in this. Like, okay, well, it's almost like it's showing you that, like, if you believe that it is these sort of esoteric things, then it can be that, but it can also be that we just dose the entire camp with LSD. You know what I mean? So it's like it plays on this like belief paradigm where you can use Occam's razor to explain it away. Yes, maybe Lynn did get a phone call from Bill that gave him the coordinates to the base.
Mhm.
Or you could believe that he showed up as an apparition to Lynn and, you know, called out to him.
Yeah. Or you could be like Cher and believe in life after love.
You could do that too.
It's like when they're like stranded in that desert, and it's just, we're not going to the town, we're going near the town.
Yeah,
Well, don't
right.
you have the exact place? Well, if I
No.
did, you wouldn't need a Jedi to find it, would you?
Yeah. Exactly. It's an unfalsifiable logic that works
Oh,
within
man.
belief systems. It's actually really kind of interesting that they, you know, how they do that, because even Lynn talks about it, like when he first meets Ewan McGregor's character.
Wow.
He talks about how you know, he can manipulate invisibility. He's
Mhm.
like, I'm a level 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, it eventually evolved to just not being seen.
Right. And that, I love the way he broke that down. And it's like, if you listen to what he said, it's like, no, it's more like perfect timing and misdirection.
Right.
Like, I'm
But
gonna throw
yeah,
something
yeah.
that way at the right time. I'm gonna move my ass this way when you look that way.
Right. Well, he even says it's like, you know, once you understand the concept of perception, then
Mhm.
you get to understand of invisibility. Yeah. But it is that, so still that Occam's razor thing where it's like from Ewan McGregor's character, he's trying to get to the simplest answer, camouflage, right? Or, you know, cloaking device or something like that. And Lynn is talking a little bit more about this like soft science stuff.
Mhm. Kind of
I
some
say-
more like some espionage type.
I have learned the art of moving extremely slow. You can't. I forgot what is it in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Can you see me?"
Yeah.
Yes, I see you right there. Okay, wait. Can you see me now?
But
Damn.
those concepts, they can be useful. I mean, you can be invisible in a room.
Yeah,
for other
absolutely.
people.
Yeah. I've definitely had that before. It's like, even, you know, living with my wife, it's like I'll walk in and out of a room right in front of her and she won't even notice that I was there. Well, of course, the person is not paying attention, but that is part of the trick of invisibility, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're thinking that you're just going to turn invisible, but it's all of these sort of factors. Is the person paying attention? Can they hear you? Can they see you out of the periphery? Are you, you know, being fluid with your emotions? All that type of stuff.
Right. It's funny. There's a concept in acting, or in TV and movies in general, I guess. But it's about how no matter what else is going on the screen, your eyes and your brain only focus on the person that is talking or what's moving, like what's the center of attention. So whatever's going on right next to it, you can honestly just miss it.
Yeah.
That's how, like, you'll have a character sitting right there, and then they'll pan over here and show you this, and then you go back to that area and that character's not there and you don't think about it. Like,
Right.
you're not looking for the continuity in that, you're looking for the continuity in what you're listening to.
Right. Well, there's a really famous YouTube video, right? It's like all of those people with basketballs dribbling the ball and walking across the camera,
Mhm.
and it's like, how many basketball players can you count? And then it plays back the video, and you didn't realize that a guy in a gorilla suit walked past the
Yeah.
camera as well. And it's like, did
What?
you see the gorilla? You know.
That's funny.
But yeah, it is. It's just like whatever your perception is, whatever you're paying attention to. Yes, you can slip things past the
Mhm.
you know, sort of attention of somebody.
Yes, indeed.
What do you guys think of that ending of him actually jumping through the wall?
Yeah. Oh, it's, you know,
That's fitting.
it's great. Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah.
He finally did it. He finally believed enough, you know, after having a heroic dose of acid in the Baghdad desert.
I think that he had to have the LSD to unlock his brain. You know,
Yeah.
he believed, but he didn't believe that he could do it.
I really enjoy that as a wrap up to the story too, because it's like I don't really know how you were going to get yourself out of that story, other than the dosing of the entire military compound. So I think that that was kind of a funny way to sort of get the characters back to safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that whole who is it? The weather report. It's gonna be hot as hell again. Who would have
Again.
thought?
It's like so hot here.
Well, I also
Everybody
like,
starts staring into nothingness.
I like how Bob gets to write his article. Like, and so something about this storyline is how everything was brought full circle. Like, it was presented, it was explained, it was closed out. No questions, nothing really left, right? And so Bob opens trying to figure out what is it he's gonna write about, who he really wants to be as a human being, really. And he ends it with this whole new identity, a new thought. We even fast forward a little after, and we see that he got older, and he's clearly like more in charge at the paper at that point. But it's the moment where he's mocked for writing this article. But
Right.
I think what the beauty of it is yeah, he's mocked, but he still got where he wanted to go. So he found his identity through the mock, through everything else.
Yeah, I think that that was part of a real story too. It was that the "I love you" thing was an actual news story that they broke, but it was a part of a larger like release of information about like black sites where they were holding prisoners of war and the things
Right.
that they were doing.
Right.
But the major thing that came out was, oh, they make them listen to Barney for 24 hours straight. Well, they didn't mention the waterboarding and the the genital
Upgrade
torture and all that
comes
shit.
later.
Yeah.
Look, the fact
That's
that if they're doing all those other things and they're playing Barney for 24 hours straight in a room with blinking lights, and you don't think that's torture when they're doing everything else.
That's
Just
a pretty
this is the one
effective
thing.
psyop.
Oh, I'm sure. Like,
the-
think about it. The one non-physical torture.
Yeah, because that clip that you see, like the news where they're kind of laughing at the Barney thing, that was the real news clip.
Yeah.
It was the actual thing they used on the day back then, and
Right.
so that
Stupid are we?
that psyop on the Western world was a good move until all the pictures came out,
Right.
and then everything came.
Yeah.
The people were like, "Oh yeah, I guess torture isn't funny."
Right.
Ah,
It was a limited hangout almost. It was like, you when you're going to get busted for something, you fess up to something lesser in hopes that person will stop digging. And so they put that out there thinking that maybe people will stop digging if we admit to let them listening to Barney for 24 hours straight. But
you know
when
what's
you find
crazy
out
nasty
deeper
about
stuff.
It's crazy to me. I think back just now. I just thought to myself, this movie came out 2009, so that means that information was released somewhere between 2003 2007. Music after that time period, the pitch went up and it sped up. Ew.
No, have you heard of the notion of silent sounds,
Yes.
where you underlay some message underneath stuff?
Mhm.
It's a lot easier to do it when it's faster, the higher pitch.
Oh yeah. Something I prove to people is you feel different when you listen to music on the radio than when you play it yourself off the albums, or even if you hear it in clubs. Reason being, most people don't know that on the radio or in most party scenes in general, because they're trying to, they want to get you excited, keep you hype. The music is sped up. It has a certain tempo, which changes the BPM, the frequency, and everything else. But that's a whole nother conversation.
No, it ties into this stuff because on those pamphlets, and those new Earth pamphlets, they had the idea, like he saw the new soldier wearing like pretty much like a sound box, like a speaker system that blasted out happy, indigenous drums, and overall like good feeling music, or it could be switched on to play like discordant sounds.
Right.
Whereas you start to build those ideas of music torture, and it just begins that research a little bit. So that still ties into exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that makes me look at portable speakers differently too.
Yeah, I like that there's a sort of a duality with all of this stuff too, where it's like it can be used for good and for evil. The psychology, and Kevin Spacey eventually has his company name is Sick or Psych.
Right.
But like
He's
this,
sick.
but it's funny because like what started as a cultism in the form of like neurolinguistic programming and manipulation and stuff kind of formed into a psychology once we knew the mechanics of the human mind a little bit more. And so we kind of enveloped all of those tools to use for manipulation. The thing that'll make you buy a car is the same thing that'll make you go, harm your neighbor.
Agreed. That same impulse, yeah.
And learning how
Impulse
to
control is the one thing we lack.
There's some interesting research too with like this is all in the commentary. In Montreal, there's a psychologist who is paid by the CIA to see if he could brainwash people, like wipe away memories and then plant new ones in to have like a Manchurian Candidate effect. He got as far as being able to wipe memories, but didn't know how to implant new ones. Originally, his research too began as a way to try to help neurotics. So if you can just wipe away all these bad memories that these neurotic people are tied to, then you might be able to give them a new life. He was so good at wiping away memories, though. One of his patients, she was out with her husband, and she's like flirting with some other guy right in front of her husband because she didn't know it was wrong.
Right. She
didn't know at all. The thing was that memory was just gone completely. So there's even like that sort of research still comes from this place that this movie talks about in like a lighthearted way, but it's effective.
Right. And usually the wiping of memories isn't through some sort of hypnosis. It's usually through heavy drug use and trauma.
Right.
Like
that's okay.
Traumatizing somebody while on drugs.
Right. And with you saying that, that's what I was over here thinking. I'm like, you have to be sadistic to get some like pretty messed up in the head to be able to erase somebody's memories. Could they imagine where you'd have to be mentally to implant a memory? Like, I try to make things relatable, right? So think about it like a pimp. A pimp can convince a woman or a man or whomever, someone who is willing to get out there and sell their body for whatever reason, however you want to look at it, in whatever ways. But what they cannot convince that person, and it's funny, they can't convince that person that they should be in their position. Like, you can't take this person who's willing to lay down everything for you and tell them they can beat you.
That's why you get them while they're young, man.
Right.
You get them as kids, and then you can implant any kind of memory you want.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like you have to understand who you're dealing with and who you are to be able to implant that. And I don't think that's understand. I think that's the awkward thing about teaching. Like, the power of an educator is extremely undervalued, but yeah. So that just makes sense that he was able to take it away or take something away but not give it, because I don't think the same person can do both things.
Well, any like authority type figure is a strange role, right? Like even in the workplace, like the power of a supervisor to make the employees sweat a bit, to get something done quicker or something like that. It's still kind of using these psychological tactics that might, in some lights, be seen as sadistic if the person is open to suggestibility.
And that's why everybody's not built for supervisorial positions, management positions. I think that's a word. I don't know if that first one was a word.
Management, no.
Management.
Supervisory managementorial.
There we go. The official word.
But no, all this stuff like comes from this sort of like new agey like the U.S. Army trying to figure out what it was after Vietnam. And it's weird too because it starts off with the loss of identity for the whole army. Just like in a lot of like these psychological tactics, you try to remove somebody's identity to replace it with the one that you want to instill in.
Yeah,
and you kind of see this whole battalion, these group of soldiers go through that, and it kind of what happens when like Kevin Spacey's character just takes it down that dark road, while on the other side you see kind of the sparkly eyes in the cloud bursting
Yeah.
as he drives into a rock. So that's pretty funny.
Which is funny. Yeah. It's a joke on its own. But yeah, I do really enjoy this movie. I think there's a lot of fun little Easter eggs for you if you're a buff on this sort of the history of the government's involvement in parapsychology, as they would call it. Really kind of fun to watch for sure. Do you guys have any other stuff that we want to talk about, or?
It's funny. I'm actually marking off the list. Like I think that's everything.
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half
IMDb.
long, so it's not like it's
Yeah, it wasn't
crazy
that long.
movie.
That actually threw me. I thought this. I didn't look at the runtime before I watched it, and so when we got to the end, I was like, "Oh man, he ran through the wall." And wait, actually, and okay, so that's the thing. I feel like I had seen this movie. Maybe it had been so long, I only remembered like 2 scenes out of it, 3 scenes maybe. The running through the wall scene, I remember as soon as that happened, I was like, "Oh, that's the end of the movie." Damn, why do I know that's the end of the movie? And why am I mad that's the end of the movie? Like I've been mad before that's the end of this movie.
Might be because it's also the beginning of the movie, so it bookends. And you had the general that wasn't able to run through the wall, and then Ewan McGregor was.
You're right. That is
And
wow.
apparently, the real life general was trying to do that for large portions of his day. He would get angry.
Did he give?
Is like Lynn's like it's about turning a particle into a wave. You got to breathe. It starts with the breathing technique, and then you got to think black, think darkness.
And he ran to the wall. He got like a bruise on his nose, but he was going through a divorce, so he told everyone that his spouse was beating him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, probably
First
better
Army
than
general to admit it.
I was trying to phase into a wall.
Definitely sounds better than I was trying to phase through a wall.
I mean, speaking quantumly, there is a very, very, very small possibility that you'll phase through a wall.
Yeah, you can keep on trying. I mean, but then again, apparently there's a barrier between physical touch anyway. So what the fuck is that barrier?
Oh, you mean like those electrons?
Yeah, like when you're touching something, you're not actually touching it.
This is true.
Yeah, weird.
So maybe it's not the material we need to find a way through. It's through that shield.
You just need to produce enough energy within yourself. That's why I said it was a breathing exercise. You got to breathe that pranayama in. You got to get that energy. Yeah, get the kundus flowing, and and then you can vibrate your cells.
Hopefully it goes through the whole wall and you don't fuck up and leave a leg
in a wall halfway between.
That's got to be the
Pride be stuck in the wall.
That's got to be the shittiest power, man.
And listen, if I were to practice Kundalini, I wouldn't want to face through a wall. I want to shoot fucking fireballs. Let's get this straight.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could, what else could you levitate?
Electricity, levitation. Telekinesis would not be one of those things for those who hear levitation and think, "Ooh, telekinesis." Not the same thing. Anything else where you generate internal? You could probably fire an EMP, but that's somewhere along electricity.
Pyromancy, chi flow,
anything fire based for sure.
Fortifying your pyromancy.
You may not be able to have like mind control, but you may be able to control cells in someone else's body if you have mastery over your own cells.
Or if you stare at them long enough, and then you can give them a terminal disease.
But you know what? Maybe, but I think that would be a form of transferring that energy from you to them.
But like seriously, it's so funny because it's like we laugh at that, but I'm not convinced that we won't find out in 25 years that the evil eye was an actual thing that made people sick. I mean, we call it the evil eye for a reason.
Well, you can make someone.
I never thought the evil eye wasn't real. Okay, let's
You can make someone lose focus by just staring them down.
Yeah.
Voodoo and all of that good stuff. listen here. Your boy's never been one of those people who are like, oh, that's not real.
No, you can't say that. It'll come for you.
It's too many people. I'm just one of those people. If you can show me more than 10 people that believe in something, I'm just going to be like, all right, it's real. I'm not trying to dispel it.
Right.
I'm going to let you go ahead with it, because what I never want to be is the person who says, oh, that's not real.
No. True.
Like, you never know what's real until you experience it. So I'll leave everything to the benefit of the doubt. And if I haven't experienced it, I'm just going to be like, oh, that's a great, thanks for warning me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll leave. I'll mind my own business over here.
Exactly.
I'm gonna stay in my cosmic egg.
In case you guys have never heard the story of when I saw bats, when I was traveling once, I saw a bunch of bats in the place I was walking through, and I looked up and said, "Oh, well, guess time for me to walk out of here." And everybody was like, "Oh no, you could just walk through. It's all right." And I'm sitting there like,
no,
some people kept going, and I turned around and walked right back out.
That's how you get coronavirus.
Hey, listen,
don't walk into a place full of bats.
My exact response was, I don't know if you turned into a vampire for real, but I don't want to find out today.
No, you'll get hemorrhagic fever and die.
I thought you get Hep A actually, but yeah,
dude, bats are so dirty, dude, and caves with bats in them, never step in one.
Oh no, I'm aware. I've actually heard and read on multiple occasions that you get bit by any sort of a bat, fruit bat, or like they're the filthiest rodents on the planet, pretty much.
Bro, you don't even have to get bit; just step in their shit. It's over, son.
Oh wow, I've never heard
that. The spores from their shit will go into the air, and you breathe it in, and you're dead.
Whoa,
instantly dead.
Then I would have been scared just being in the same building as them, just knowing that.
Yeah,
what?
Man, they're disgusting. Any brooding animal is a cesspool for disease. So rats, bats, certain types of birds.
That wasn't like 2 years ago, bro. I'd be spooked right now. Oh, great stuff. Yes, indeed.
Well, we all know Randy Marsh fucked a pangolin, and that's why we have the situation we have.
No. Just hanging out over there with Mickey Mouse and fucking backs.
Jeez, man.
What can you do?
In the back. There's a meme, like Delta asked a question of like, name one city that's changed your life. And like the number one response was Wuhan.
What? Oh my god, I can't with the internet. I didn't like. Let's be real. We didn't even know where Wuhan. Never heard of it until 2 years ago.
No, I know. It's so true. It's amazing what pops up to the forefront of the mind, right?
Man, listen, I've heard of so many places on the Asian continent that were not named Wuhan. That's all I'm saying. So for people to say that of all the places in the world, it's like, all right, what I think, let me see. Okay, so that's channel 11, channel 52. I know where y'all watching news at. I got y'all, don't worry.
whatever channel good old AJ is on. That's what I watch.
Oh man, yeah. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'm over here spooked about that bat thing now. I didn't know. I wanted to go back to that place in the future, and now
don't do it. Don't do it. Cave exploring is really gross, and it's unless it's a cave that's already been cleaned out of bats, don't go in.
But you can find pirate treasure if you're brave.
So just to be clear, I'm told that every dwelling of that nature and or ancient site has bats.
Certain caverns and stuff. Like I went up into the Shasta caverns; they don't have bats in them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like there's certain caverns, like touristy places, where they just clear out all the bats. And then,
so are you saying that if there's bats, it's possibly cursed and haunted still? I'm trying to get some clarity out here.
It's not cursed or haunted. It's just it'll give you deadly diseases. There might be a djinn in there.
There we go.
Look, we're going into our folklore.
There we go. I'm just trying to get some clarity while we're still online for those who stuck around with us and want this kind of information and need it, because I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world who's like, I'm going to be doing some traveling if I can, when I can.
Just stay out of bat caves.
It would be better to just use your breathing techniques and astral project over there.
There you go. Exactly.
Fair enough. And to comment on the gin thing, if I find a gin, I saw a reel that gave me a really good idea on how to beat the whole 3-wish thing. Thank God for the internet.
But
Have
you
you
can't
seen
wish for
Wish
more
Master?
Gins
wishes.
weren't ready. Exactly. You can't. You can't. But you could write it all down on one paper and wish for everything on this one paper.
Yeah, that's a good technicality. I like that. I don't think that they would appreciate it. And see, this is the problem: is that you have to see it. Is this like a benevolent gin or is this a monkey paw situation? Because if it's a monkey paw situation, you're about to screw up a whole lot in your life.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm telling you, we got to watch Wishmaster on the show.
If it's a monkey paw situation, just give me the one. You keep the 2. Let's call it even, and you don't screw me over.
It's not how that
I guess
works.
your first wish have to be like, I wish that my next wishes won't screw me over.
But in a monkey paw situation, they won't screw you over, but they'll just be delayed.
Or they'll screw somebody else over.
Or, yeah,
that you care
somebody
about.
that you care about. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no getting out of the monkey paw. Damn it.
Gosh.
It's like there's no way of getting out the,
I mean-
the mock gin. Well, the mock gin.
The
Dim
dim
mock.
mock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dim mock,
the dim
I get it.
mock.
You know, all of these things
I
sound
love
like
that.
rules of alchemy.
Yeah. Dim mock is an actual it's
Yes.
a Chinese thing, but they they believe
call
that
it?
it's called
Five
dim
fing-
mock.
It's
Yeah.
called the dim 5-finger
Yeah.
death punch, no? Or is that just another name for it?
That's just a heavy metal band.
Yeah,
It's
really good heavy
It
metal
is.
band.
a reference to
They
dim
are.
mock for sure. Yeah. Or you're thinking of like Kill Bill, the 5-point exploding heart technique.
Technique. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
Which
thought
is
they were all the
which is
same
a
thing.
form of dim mock.
Okay, they are,
basically
okay.
like you're hitting meridians, which are chi lines in the body.
Mhm.
And they say that, if you hit the meridians in this particular pattern, you
Stop
can
blood flow to the heart.
kill somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is technically true. If you bash somebody's sternum hard enough, you can stop their heart.
Or chop them in the right spot in the neck. It's called an off switch for a reason.
But you don't know how long like the dim mock can hit you at any time.
That's
That's
right.
what they
That's
say
right.
killed Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Yes.
Years before he got famous, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't the bullet.
Or like the guy in the movie who died 18 years after getting the dim mock. That's the thing about the dim mock. You don't know when
You
it's
don't know
going
when
to
it's
get you.
coming. The cancer, but I know the dim mock got it. The dim mock started it. What? No, dude, you just have cancer. You just have cancer. And I don't even think Larry Hooper learned the dim mock. Who would have taught that asshole?
You
the
just
dim
tapped him on the forehead.
Yeah.
He gave him a Three Stooges pop.
Yeah.
He looked at him and was like, he falls back.
Just threw him. I thought he was gonna say it was like one of those topsy-turvy type of a situation. It's like, oh, he hit me in this spot and it turned off my powers, and the only person that can save me.
Mhm.
Thought it was gonna be something like that, like, oh, I have to relearn and I just don't have it in me anymore.
Nah, it was like 20 years ago, he hit my forehead and now I have cancer.
No, right.
It's the dim mock, man.
I didn't get to live any better in life because I was waiting for this. Like,
Yeah. That's a nice little commentary on belief, though, too. And that's why I like Clooney's character so much.
mhm.
Because it's like he's fully bought into this philosophy, and it's almost like his belief creates it to be so, which I like that the film does that, because that's kind of the whole reason behind the notion anyways. So that your
Mhm.
belief sort of manifests and shapes your reality.
You know, and then that's what that's the end of the arc too for the main character. For Obi-Wan, you know, he starts off
Yes, he's finally
Nah.
a Jedi.
not believing, and then he gets to the end and then believes so much so that he's able to run through the wall. Which
And
is
he
cool.
comes out on the other side in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. You just see what's Grievous.
Grievous.
Yeah.
Oh, great. There should be an edit of that
There
somewhere.
should be an edit. That'd be hilarious. I like that.
I do want to say I'm mad that I'm doing this because we know I'm not the biggest Star Wars nut in the world. But I do want to say I've never really understood General Grievous. He's such a badass, but where's the other robots?
He's a robot with tuberculosis. I don't get him at all.
Where's the other robots? And who was he before? Because apparently he was human before he was Grievous. And it's
I mean,
like
he was a biological entity, I guess, but
right.
You
But
get
so he was
the
never human. It doesn't make sense.
tech for his whole thing as a prototype for Vader in the future.
that's kind of cool.
Okay. That does kind of make sense. But that just sounds like Vision having biological children. It doesn't make sense.
Mm.
Don't ask
Who
me,
knocked
man.
Wanda up?
Give it a
Somebody
couple
answer
more
that for me.
years. I'm sure we'll be seeing baby Visions.
I'm gonna say this and then we can move forward. Apparently, they are making robot strippers. Huh? What? Somebody call my name?
Yeah.
What?
They sure are.
Excuse me.
Why though? That's an uncanny valley right there.
Yeah, it could be terrifying.
I don't even Never mind.
If they don't make the first a robot strip place called the Uncanny Valley, I'm gonna be so disappointed. Like they have to call it that.
Why are you just out here telling all my business about?
Yeah.
I told you that in confidence, man.
Robo strippers.
Told you that in confidence.
And you could pay discounts to have the really like uncanny faces. Like the lifelike ones you have to pay a premium for. But if you want discount,
have real doormen and have robo strippers.
Participating in this.
You didn't say that the other day. I already got your investment.
That's right.
Hey, listen. Sounds like the NDA just got null and void. Cats out the bag.
Let's wrap this shit up.
There's one line though that I absolutely love in this movie where he goes, because he got it. He's like, I got my heart broken, so I did what any man would do. Went to war.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's right.
Got it. Listen, I wish they had said where he did. They say where he lived initially? Because I can guarantee you it wasn't Los Angeles.
I think it was Arkansas.
Yeah,
I mean, because he recognized the company that Lynn was working for. Maybe in that area. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Clearly in the middle of. Oh wait, that also is funny and makes sense because that's like the heart of America, as they call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like what they did there. I'm not gonna drag that moment anymore.
Arkansas is also where some clandestine operations really did take place. So you all can look that up on your free time. I'm not going to go into it.
I heard a particular word in there that made me cringe.
Talking a little bit much about the stuff the ghetto birds are coming around.
Uh-oh. Shoot. All right. We better shut up. All right. Let's get into our final verdict here with our ratings.
I'm doing the rest of the show from down here.
Good call.
Can't get facial recognition on this hairline. Got it. No, I'm playing. All right. I guess I can go and I can jump in first on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, final reactions. I did enjoy this movie. I did not expect. Actually, I wasn't really sure what to expect. George Clooney, great actor. Ewan McGregor, great actor. Wasn't really sure who else was in it. To see Jeff Bridges, another great actor. And I mean, I can go down the list as far as cast is concerned. Small roles, large roles. Everybody pretty much executed. As I said at the top of the show, I do feel like George Clooney didn't have to dive into his bag and show his range, whereas most of the other characters did to some extent. But I think that was kind of a point of his character to be very similar to his character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, to seem aloof, but at the same time be the person with more answers than expected. So in that respect, that was executed. As again, I said it through the storyline, executed. No loose ends that I could think of. Finding out through Mike that this used to be, or this was originally a book as well. Confirms what I thought about the writing, just in-depth material. They actually did some research. They were actually interested about the material they were writing about. Within all of that, I am not sure what else I can say from a positive aspect. Let me tell you what I didn't like. No, it's not much. It's nothing really to say I didn't like. So with that, I will give this movie Much higher than Rotten Tomatoes, with no question. Um, it's gonna get a 7 from me. I want to give it more, but it doesn't feel like more than a 7, and it definitely isn't less than a 7. 7 almost feels too low, but anything more than 7, I feel like I have to explain. So I'm gonna run with 7.
Okay, fair enough. Mike?
Like I like this movie. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's something that you can put on, but don't like you turn off your brain and just watch it. And not in like the shoveling content, mediocre content into your face sort of way, but sort of you'll laugh, find it somewhat interesting. Right, like none of like these actors had to go too deep because it is like on the surface level like that sort of comedy thing, and the fact that they carry such a dark topic into kind of this light comedic thing even at the end. I mean, like the big comedic set piece of dosing the entire camp. It's nice. It's enjoyable to see, and it stays like light and airy and fluffy and all of that. Only person really with the character arc is the main character, which makes sense. So if you shouldn't find like don't. This is not like an obviously like an art film or something. So if you're walking with those intentions, you'll be um, you'll be happy to watch it again and again. So for me, it's like about that 7 as well.
Cool. Good. Yeah, I think I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. Like this isn't a movie that's going to knock you off your feet, but I could see it being a sort of like personal favorite for people. Just as like, I don't like I have particular movies that I love. I think Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is one of the best movies of all time, but people fucking hate that movie. So I could see where it's like it could be like a very particular disposition, or somebody who has a very particular sort of taste might like this movie more than others. But saying that it's not bad. It's not bad. It's funny. It has a lot of kind of subtle humor, which takes a little bit to settle into, but enjoyable nonetheless. Inoffensive runtime. I don't have a lot to say. There are some moments that felt a little bit draggy, but yeah, it's a lighthearted, fun flick that has kind of an absurd idea, and I think they did that absurd idea pretty well. So I am in the 7 range, but I'm going to add my personal sort of inclination to favor this movie a little bit higher, and I'm going to say a 7.5 for me.
I'm going to change my answer to 8 then.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, because I really do see this as one of those movies. Like, if you don't like it, you're not going to like it.
Right.
But if you like it, like, I feel a little bit more like it's I feel a little bit more endeared to this movie than maybe somebody who wouldn't like it as much. So it's like I kind of want to just give it a little bit more than maybe I normally would.
This movie is a little like that. Hard. I don't see where you cannot like it, because even like just the basic chemistry that happens between the characters is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and as I said, it handles some really weird concepts, which I think is great because it's stuff that you don't see. So definitely go check out the book, you guys, if you want to check out more. I believe it's Ron Johnson, right?
Well, the book goes in a completely different direction than the movie. So the movie stays lighthearted at the end, where the book gets really dark.
Even better.
Grave and all the real stuff that happened. Apparently, a lot of like the military people or the people that like started the group hated the book, but loved the movie. And George Clooney helped the writer of the book, and so the military people become friends again.
All right, fair enough. Yeah,
sounds like he told too many truths in the book.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Well, that brings our aggregate score to a 7.5 out of 10, which is respectable. And I think that's pretty good. We're good to leave it there, right? You guys are good?
Yeah.
Everything's good. Everything's good. Good.
Everything's fantastic.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you enjoyed. We hope that you enjoyed the movie as well. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. Please consider giving us a thumbs up and a subscription to our YouTube page here on YouTube or on Facebook. It would very much help us out trying to build out that audience, and we can't do it without your help. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in with us this evening. We're here Wednesday and Sunday for you at 8:30 p.m. We are reviewing movies and TV shows, maybe the occasional video game or something like that on the end too. Every Wednesday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. We also have podcasts that we do separately. And Mike and I have a podcast. It's called Exofathom. We're on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night, we are going to be talking about immortality. So be sure to check that out. It'll be a fun episode that Ayla is creating as we speak. So check us out Monday nights, Exofathom on Rumble, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Odyssey, on Verbal, many other places. Just check us out at Exofathom. Keelan's got his podcast. It's called If Numbers Could Talk. You should go check him out on Facebook and on YouTube, and make sure you give him a thumbs up and a subscription to his YouTube page and his Facebook page at If Numbers Could Talk. He's on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. He's giving you stats, figures, and all the numbers, letting you know what they say to him in regards to movies, sports, cars, anything you can think of. He's putting the numbers to work and letting you know what he thinks of them at If Numbers Could Talk, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Deshaun the Mustard, friend and co-host of the podcast here, has a Twitch channel. It's called Strawberries and Coffee, and he goes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Be sure to check him out on Facebook. He's on Facebook and on YouTube as well. Strawberries and Coffee. Give him a subscription. Let him know what you want to see him stream. And let him know that we're waiting for him to return to Screen Time Continuum at Strawberries and Coffee. Go check him out. But if you're a purist at heart, just want to hear us blabber on about movies and TV and critique things for which we have no credentials to critique, thank you for taking this trip through the Screen Time Continuum with us. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
I am Keelan.
And Mike is frozen.
And I'm muted.
Good night, everyone.
So if y'all need, I could tell y'all about immortality. I'm